Welcome to the Bible Project. The Bible Project is a verse-by-verse study through the Scriptures. We're going to begin our very first study today through the book of Revelation, and we're actually going to study the first three verses of Revelation. So we're so glad you've joined us, and let's dig into our text. Revelation is probably one of the most interesting books of the Bible. People hear about beasts and dragons and women riding beasts and locusts and all kinds of crazy stuff, and that's what they really focus in on. However, if you actually read the first verse of the book of Revelation, what you discover is that Revelation is actually focused on Jesus like the rest of the Bible. Revelation 1:1 says, "The revelation of Jesus Christ, which God gave him to show his servants the things that must soon take place." Revelation chapter 1, verse 1, first crack out of the box, the big idea is that the book of Revelation is about Jesus. And so, if you really want to understand the book of Revelation, don't focus on dragons, don't focus on beasts, don't focus on locusts and plagues and all of the stuff that people focus in on. If you really want to understand Revelation, focus on Jesus. So Revelation 1, verse 1, it tells us the book of Revelation is about Jesus. Then it says that God gave this revelation to show his servants the things that must soon take place. Now, what's interesting here is this, two things. The book was written so that God's servants could understand what was happening in their experience. And so it says that they could understand the things that are going to soon take place. Now, verse 19 makes this incredible statement. Jesus is talking, and Jesus says, "Write the things that you have seen, the things that are, and the things that are to take place after this." Now, you have this really simple idea. Jesus says, write what you see, things that are, that's things that are present in John's day, and then things that are after the things that are. Now, there are always things that are after things that are, and the book of Revelation, basically every vision concludes, almost every vision concludes with the coming of Jesus. Okay? So, Jesus says to John, write the things that are after the things that are, and they ultimately, the things that culminate with the coming of Jesus. So, the book of Revelation is about Jesus, and it's written so that God's people could understand the sweep of history. That is, things that are, and things that are after the things that are, culminating with the coming of Jesus. Some people make the mistake of thinking the book of Revelation isn't about anything, it's just to help God's people in any circumstance. Well, certainly it's true. The book of Revelation helps God's people in any circumstance. But according to Revelation 1, verse 1 and verse 19, there's actually some content there, some historical content. Other Christians make the mistake of thinking, oh, the book of Revelation is all about the future. No, it's about the things that are and the things that are after the things that are that culminate in things that are way off in the future from John's day. Now, you could call the first people idealist, and they say, there's no real history there, it's just an ideal thing. No, it's the other group of people, you could call them futurist. It's all off in the future. That's not true. John says in verse 19, it's about things that are and things that are after things that are that ultimately culminate in the coming of Jesus. The other group of people are preterist. They say it's all just in John's day, that is, the things that are. That's wrong too, because the text says it's about things that are and things that are after things that are, ultimately culminating in the coming of Jesus. So, you have basically three main approaches that people take, all of which are wrong. Futurist, it's all off in the future. Preterist, it's all off in the past. Idealist, it's nothing. It's just to help us in our day-to-day lives. The best approach to the book of Revelation is the one approach that combines those three ideas. In the book of Revelation, there are some things that are off in the future, there are some things that are back in the past, and there are some things that happen throughout history. There's one approach to the book of Revelation that the text teaches, and that's called historicism. That is, you recognize some things are in Jesus' day and John's day, some things are way off in the future, and then there are things that are, and then there are things that are after things that are, that are after things that are, that are after things that are. The historical sweep. If we want to understand Revelation, we need to, number one, realize that it's focused on Jesus. Number two, we need to realize that it's about things that are in John's day, things that are after the things that are, ultimately culminating in the coming of Jesus. So, number three, according to our text, it says in Revelation chapter 1 that he made it known by sending his angel to his servant John. Now, the King James gets it right in this case, and it says in the King James, he sent and signified it. Okay, now that word signified is a critical word. It means signified. In other words, he took regular old ideas and put them into sign language. So when we read the book of Revelation, we shouldn't read it in a literalistic way. We should read it in a literal way, but we shouldn't read it in a literalistic way, right? I don't really know a lot of sign language, but if I say I-L-O-V-E, that spells in sign language, I love, okay? Now, those I-L-O-V-E, those literally say, I love. But if we take it in a literalistic way, then we'll just think that it's about hand movements and not about what's being communicated. Revelation is actually trying to say something that Christians need to understand. And it's written in sign language, and the key to unlocking that sign language is actually found in the Old and New Testaments. So it says, he sent and signified it to his servant John, verse 2, who bore witness to the Word of God, that's the Old Testament, and to the testimony of Jesus Christ, that's the New Testament. So the sign language of the book of Revelation is, the key to unlocking the sign language of the book of Revelation is actually the Old and New Testaments. Almost all of the verses in Revelation have some kind of echo to the Old Testament or to the New Testament. Over and over and over again, if you know the Bible, you will hear echoes of the Old Testament and echoes of the New Testament. So, you want to understand Revelation? Number one, it's about Jesus. Number two, it's not all about the past. It's not all about the future. And it's not all about just help in daily living. The book of Revelation is about Jesus, and it covers the historical sweep. And number three, it's written in sign language, and the key to that sign language is the Old Testament and the New Testament. Now, look at verse 3. Verse 3 says, blessed is the one who reads aloud the words of this prophecy. Blessed are those who hear and who keep what is written in it, for the time is near. Verse 3, I love verse 3. It makes a promise. If I read it aloud, I'm blessed. If I hear it read aloud, I'm blessed. And blessed am I if I keep the book of Revelation. The book of Revelation is not just about tickling our fancies. It's not about soothsaying, telling us the future so much. Although it does, the book of Revelation is something for us to keep. It provides for us moral guidance. It provides for us a life to live in a broken, sinful world. Revelation tells us several big ideas. Number one, it's about Jesus. Number two, it covers the historical sweep. Number three, it's written in sign language, and the key to understanding the sign language is the Old Testament and the New Testament. Number four, if you really want to be blessed, the book of Revelation isn't about tickling the intellect. It is about something to keep. It provides a life to live, a lifestyle to follow. And so my prayer is that you will be blessed as you make the book of Revelation your study and as we work through the Bible Project.